Welcome to Hive Mind. This is Edge with my co-host Speaker. Today we're talking about the new Ministry of Truth. How you doing, Speaker?
I'm good. How you go?
Doing pretty good. Oh man, it's just like every day something different coming out. Ministry of Truth was on everybody's top of mind, and now all of a sudden we need a new narrative change with the Supreme Court leak that just came out. So yeah, but it's really the news cycle is speeding up as we near the 2022 midterms, I see.
100%. And this is something very fascinating that came out because there's so many like things to dissect about just this woman for one, this ministry of truth for two, the fact that this only really started getting massive traction as soon as Elon Musk purchased Twitter. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to dive into here.
Definitely a lot. And I think that because the news cycle is speeding up, because they're losing grip and control of the narrative, aka with this Twitter purchase by Elon Musk, they had to do something drastic. And here we have the new Ministry of Truth just coincidentally coming out. So, since the announcement of the Biden regime's Ministry of Truth, just following the Elon Musk Twitter takeover, a lot has come out about this head of the new government agency, which is designed to chill free speech, obviously, with the full backing of the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, that's a big deal with the full weight of the Department of Homeland Security and all of that it implies.
Oh, they've come out and just totally backed this woman in. She's completely non-biased. She's completely neutral. She's completely qualified for the job. It's madness even looking at a person like that. And we'll play some clips from her TikTok later, which is just really hard to watch. I watched it a couple of times. It actually makes me feel a little bit physically
Oh my gosh,
top
it's
level cringe.
top level cringe. I mean, like be off the charts cringe, this woman. Wow. Wow. I mean, yeah, we need to get into a discussion about the mental stability of this woman. But first, let's talk about what she's said because she's been patently wrong on pretty much every single issue. And she's been one to push the debunked misinformation from malign actors herself, amplifying the source of this, Russia hoax Steele dossier as an expert on disinformation. Christopher Steele is now an expert on disinformation, according to this
Uh,
woman.
Nina Jakovic, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just
Nina
trying.
Jankowicz. Yeah.
Jankowicz, there you go.
Yes, yes. Listened to this last night. Chris Steele. Yes, that Chris Steele provides great historical context about the evolution of disinfo. Well, he should be an expert on disinfo because he wrote a dossier full of disinfo. Unbelievable. She is called the Hunter Biden laptop, a Trump campaign disinfo product, which we now know is completely patently false. The Biden laptop has been proven to be true, and all of the illegal activity that was conducted on that laptop connecting to the entire Biden family and criminals around the world, whether it's at the CCP or in Ukraine. And this woman was a key proponent of crushing that story prior to the 2020 election.
It's just scary because this woman is clearly appointed by the regime in power at the moment, and when they're using terms like Ministry of Truth or Truth Regulation or Truth Committee or whatever they want to call it, um, it always signifies the opposite. It is always only the truth that protects the regime. I mean, let's look at some of the departments that you have at the moment, and it's really mirroring 1984. So it is scary in a way. I mean, Department of Homeland Security, which are now concentrating on opening the border and policing information, right? You've got the Department of Health and Human Services, which are pushing, puberty blockers on children, untested vaccines, gender issues. You've got, the Department of the Treasury, which is, all they talk about is deficit spending and how much they can do to spend more. Right? It's really it's upside down. It's very Orwellian, and we're seeing it
It
if you
is.
match it together.
It is an inverse of the truth and reality. It is a mirror image. The everything is the opposite of
Mhm.
what they claim it to be. So,
Well, a direct quote from 1984 from George Orwell is the Ministry of Peace concerns itself with war, the Ministry of Truth with lies, the Ministry of Love with torture, and the Ministry of Plenty with starvation. These contradictions are not accidental, nor do they result from ordinary hypocrisy. They are deliberate exercises in doublethink.
mhm. It is really just so disturbing to see how accurate 1984 has become
And a
to
brave
our.
new world.
Mhm.
They're very very how important it's become to our psyche in this generation as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, she's this woman, and we're going to get into talking about her on a personal level, but just to discuss about, the stances that she's taken on everything from Ukraine to the Hunter Biden laptop. She's even called the she even called Biden's $1 billion extortion of Ukraine to fire that prosecutor. We all saw that video, right?
Mm.
She called that diplomacy. And I want you to listen to, I'm going to play this quick clip because I want you to listen to how dismissive and entitled and how she speaks down to people. This woman, how the just her demeanor when she says this. One sec.
Vice President delivered a message that Shokin needed to be fired and other reforms pursued if Ukraine wanted its next tranche of IMF funds and a US loan guarantee. This is called diplomacy, not extortion. That's it. Now you can get back to your Netflix and your Zoom happy hours and lots of washing your hands.
Yeah, shut up. That's it.
Unbelievable. I
This is
mean,
the truth. Stop.
we don't want you to think.
Mm.
We don't want you to question anything. Get back to watching your Netflix and your Zooms and your all of your distractions. We'll do the thinking for you. I mean, the way that she speaks to the audience tells you everything about this woman. I mean, uh, here she is saying that there is no deep state. Again, with the way that she talks to people, as though she is the authority. You don't need to think. Just listen. Just listen. Let her, in her own words, discredit herself.
Talking about the deep state and things like that, which is a thread among conspiracy communities here in the United States, that there is this secret cabal here in Washington working to undermine the American people. It couldn't be farther from the truth as someone who works with and around public servants every day. Talking about the deep state.
There's no deep state. Nothing to see here. Ministry of Truth said so.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like it's and I encourage everyone to do this and watch movies like The Hunger Games. It doesn't matter if you like the actresses or the actors or whatever the hell it is. Just watch it for the narrative and watch it for the dystopian story behind it. You just get this woman, put a little bit of pink in her hair, some roses, and then you're just wondering what district she's speaking for,
Right.
It's like,
well, she was a huge Harry Potter fan,
of
so
course.
I liken her to Dolores Umbridge, the lady that was like the most authoritarian of all the characters in, I think, the Harry Potter stories. So yes, I mean, it's same vibe, same energy, absolutely. But it's even worse than just spreading and being a proponent of major disinfo campaigns, which this woman is. It's even worse than that. This woman is the epitome of authoritarianism. Every time there is an issue of personal freedoms, she stands on the side of tyranny. She was calling for forced lockdowns because the people were, in her words, too free-spirited. She was calling for numerous times free speech to be censored more on big tech platforms. She didn't feel like they were doing enough. And this woman is dangerously power hungry. I mean, she is a control freak who I believe will stop at nothing if her power isn't reined in. I mean, if you see this woman when she performs, obviously she's attention seeking. And this song, it's so cringe, but you gotta play it because of what she's saying here. Did you see this video?
I haven't seen this one. I saw the other one, the TikTok cringe one.
Okay.
With I haven't seen this one though.
I'll tell you the links that she'll go to for power and fame. Listen.
Famous or powerful, Barbara Streisand has it all, and I can do what she can do. So why is she rich, famous, and powerful, while I'm still stuck here singing Christmas songs for all of you? What does it take to be famous and powerful? Santa, if you're listening, please tell me what to do. Who do I fuck to be famous and powerful? I've done everything I can, and now the rest is up to you. I tried being good, I tried being nice, I even tried pretending I was listening once or twice. But the really big stars, they made it without it. Was Betty Davis pleasant? Well, I seriously doubt it, but she was rich. Everyone adored her and the world was at her feet, but she was a bitch. It's true. It's obvious that I have gotten nowhere being sweet.
It's too early in the morning for this shit. Hurts me bones.
Who does she
Oh,
to F
it
to get
hurts.
fame and power? Wow.
Here's another thing. I grew up in like a theater family. I get all that sort of stuff in a way, like expressing yourself with song and stuff like that. This is someone that works for the US government. This is not like, this is someone that holds huge positions of power, right? Act like it, right? And you're getting kids now. You're getting kids that are being pushed into these roles that are hungry, that are powerful, and that are very lackluster when it comes to inner voice and inner conscience.
And completely authoritarian.
Completely.
I mean, like they will take that power to the extreme, push the envelope on it even. I mean, but this woman, when you see her in her own words, she's not mentally stable. I mean, there's something not right about this woman. You could see it in the eyes.
Yeah, it's always in the eyes, right? It's always in the eyes.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
what is going on here? Because this woman clearly will do anything for attention. She's clearly always on the wrong side when it comes to spreading disinformation, and always on the wrong side when it comes to personal
That's
freedoms.
That's interesting. Online gendered abuse I experienced and the attacks we tracked against Kamala Harris, AOC, and Iran. So, you can't attack these political powerful figures online. We will find you. Can't say anything bad about Kamala. Can't say how she got down on her knees to get to where she is. You can't say AOC is a massive socialist communist that is, trying to destroy the fabric of capitalism. You can't say these things.
But the Ministry of Truth wants you to know that they're tracking you and everything that you say. Of course, this is meant to chill free speech, even though Psaki and Mayorkas and all of the other talking heads will come out and say, no, it's completely unbiased. We're not spying on you. Lies. It's, again, inverse of truth. Always inverse of reality, a mirrored image of what reality is. But we know that they are going to, we knew that they were going to lash out after Elon took over Twitter. And there's only one way to attempt to control speech on the platform. If Elon were to allow free speech on the platform, allow voices that have been censored to be free again, that is by either going to the next level, whether it's the app stores, going to Google and Apple to deplatform, or at the governmental level. And so that's what we're seeing with the Ministry of Truth. But clearly, Elon isn't going along with the narrative, as we see here with this Twitter thread that was just going viral the other day. We had a talking head on MSNBC basically calling the right, the GOP, Nazis. And, of course, Elon had to respond here and call them out for that. And just making note of how extreme these talking heads are. And I'm just going to read some of the responses by Elon Musk. He was saying that this is the same organization, referring to MSNBC. This is the same organization that covered up the Hunter Biden laptop story, had Harvey Weinstein story early and killed it, and built Matt Lauer his rape office. Lovely people. So that was pretty incendiary there, because wow, he likes to stir the
Oh, he
pot.
really does. It's like you said, and we will continue to say it. Keep an eye on Elon as well. But it is nice to have someone saying what we're saying and getting the traction and it being seen. It doesn't need to be us. I don't care, as long as someone's saying it. It's just interesting you got someone where it's being seen now.
Right. And of course, the reference to the Hunter Biden laptop and Harvey Weinstein and Matt Lauer, that led into the conversation about Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, of course, right? And how Ghislaine Maxwell in that trial was censored. And Elon had some things to say about that. Like, where is the client list? Shouldn't at least one of them go down?
Let's start with you. It's so funny.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Someone had to, clap back and
Mhm.
say, let's start with you. Yeah. And then we had someone say, Elon Musk was photobombed. Well, he actually said that he was at a Vanity Fair party and she photobombed him. And in response to that, another person wrote, Elon doesn't know Ghislaine Maxwell at all. She photobombed him at a Vanity Fair party in 2014. The real question is why Vanity Fair invited her in the first place, because we all know
it's actually a good question.
The writer for Vanity Fair, gosh, I can't remember her name right now, but she seemed to be very tight with Ghislaine Maxwell. And so that implying that Vanity Fair is actually kind of in bed with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and Elon Musk concurred, saying that is exactly the question.
But here's the thing, just go up a little bit. The fact that he even responded to that is kind of nice. Do you know what I mean? Anyone could have just seen that photo and just brushed it off. The fact that he even addressed it, it's a good change, I guess.
Yeah. Look, we've said this time and time again.
Yeah.
I do not have full trust in Elon Musk. I'm still waiting to see actually what happens. But I will say right now, it appears as though this could benefit us, this Twitter takeover by Elon Musk. And it appears as though we could be moving in the right direction for free speech on the platform. And as though he is stirring the pot as far as changing up the narrative and being one of those figures where he's not under control. They can't control the narrative with Elon Musk, and they're scared. Obviously, as the Ministry of Truth, the entire new department under the DHS shows you that's how scared they are of not being able to control the narrative.
Because billionaires owning things are bad now. Do you know what I mean? They didn't complain when Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, of course, right? Because he's their billionaire. It's different. They didn't care when Bill Gates, had half to say on all the vaccines that were going around and half the populations in the world. They didn't care.
No,
They're billionaires.
Not concerned at all
Right.
that billionaire Bill Gates can control our health. He can buy up all the
Farmland.
farmland. Yeah, not an issue because he's on their side as far as in their minds, right? But Elon, he's a wild card, can't control him, and we can't have control of the narrative. So you can see how much they're freaking out. But also you can see with this video from MSNBC calling the GOP, the Republican Party, neo-Nazis. You can tell that their narrative is forming, and this isn't new. They've been calling us neo-Nazis forever, even though they're actually literally funding neo-Nazis in Ukraine, and that's okay. But something's okay about Ukrainian Nazis, right? But apparently they hate us here in the GOP or in the Republican Party or any kind of conservative or individual who is a proponent of individual rights and free speech, who wouldn't necessarily consider themselves aligned with the GOP or the Republican Party at all, but just stands for individual rights. Those are all neo-Nazis now, and those are bad, right? So, but you can see the narrative forming here. The DHS labels white supremacy as the biggest threat. I mean, we had Mayorkas up on Capitol Hill testifying and getting reamed by GOP members. Those neo-Nazis were just really going after Mayorkas, right? But he said the greatest terrorism-related threat that we face in the homeland is the threat of domestic violent extremism. And he said this actually in April. Yeah. So the most prominent threat is the threat of white supremacists, even though he's not even able to list a single example, cite a single example of this. But the head of the Department of Homeland Security, with all that implies and all the power that they have to go after and target terrorists, is labeling white supremacists as the biggest threat that the country is facing from a national security perspective. And what does that say? Well, the Mockingbird media then, repeats that and starts calling the GOP neo-Nazis, right? And then what do we have? Well, then we have now a new department, the Ministry of Truth, that now has a legal pathway to shut down free speech because it's a national security threat of violent extremism. Do you see how their circular logic works and how they use it as a mechanism to control free speech?
100%.
So what does this imply? I mean, like for the future leading into the 2022 election, I think that it's going to be really interesting because, it's going to be an interesting on both sides. Interesting to see how free speech develops on Twitter. It'll be interesting to see what the Ministry of Truth tries to do to silence and quell that leading up to the election. And as we've seen with this week, once they lose complete control of the narrative, then all of a sudden there is a new emergency, a new thing to rally their troops behind. And so with the Supreme Court leak, obviously was a tactic to do that, to rally their troops again.
That only happened yesterday too. I'm sure you guys will be talking about that on the podcast this week.
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep our eyes on because I think that it's funny how, Ukraine was the new thing. And now all of a sudden, okay, it's like COVID's over, Ukraine is over. And now let's move on to abortion. Everything is about abortion.
Except COVID is still happening in some places and the war is still happening. But, don't worry about it now. The novelty's worn off.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I swear we are living in a sci-fi dystopian novel.
We really are. I'm waiting for the districts, telling her.
I think this is a massive red pill for people who were, if they hadn't woken up yet, I just don't know how much more they can do to help us in waking other people up. Because I mean, when you go to this extreme, it's got to be a massive wake up call to the general public, don't you think?
Oh, it's and if I don't know if we have the other video here, but the one where she's singing about disinfo, it's so hypnotic to malleable minds and young kids, that they'll be humming that shit all day. It's a psychological game as well. What is cringe to us is a Pied Piper sort of a music to younger children and stuff that don't know any better. So I don't know if we have that video. I don't really want to show it because it just cringes me 3 times today. So
Yeah, we'll just leave it there and spare the audience.
we're gonna save you. I mean, you can find it if you want, but just yeah, it just hurts me. I've been
Yes.
hurt enough watching this woman.
All right, guys. Well, tell us what you think about the new Ministry of Truth and their head, Nina Jankowicz, in the comments below. Please be sure to share this podcast. We are on YouTube, BitChute, Foxhole, and Pilled, and we'll see you back next time right here on Hive Mind.